Well, hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel, My Alaskan Klee Kai. I'm here with Skye and Copper. You may know them from Instagram, I Spy My Little Skye. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to stay here for the whole video, so let's see how long they want to hang around. I've also made the fatal error of wearing black shorts sitting next to Klee Kai, which is not a good idea. But this video isn't going to be about shedding. I'm actually going to do another video about separation anxiety. Now, if you watched our last video, you would have heard that I was speaking to a separation anxiety expert called Malena DeMartini. And we spoke about the myths and misconceptions surrounding separation anxiety. And I loved the comments that I got underneath the video, so I thought that I would continue to do 2 or 3 more on separation anxiety to kind of give you guys more insight into what she told me. So for today's episode, I wanted to talk about, should I crate my dog with separation anxiety? Now, to give you guys a bit of context, when we first got Skye, she wasn't really crate trained. I think she may have been used to being in a crate at her breeders, so she didn't totally hate it, but obviously there was the element of now she was away from her brothers and sisters and her mom and all her other siblings. Skye, you gonna stay or you gonna go? So when we first brought her home, we would put her in a crate next to our bed at night, and she would cry on and off throughout the night. Obviously the potty breaks helped as well. But eventually, after 2 or 3 weeks, she actually did adjust to the crate, and at night she was fine. She wouldn't cry at all, and she would actually go in there herself occasionally during the day. The only time she would cry in the crate was when she was left alone. So her separation anxiety was kind of pretty bad for 4 or 5 months. We did try at that stage to leave her out of the crate, but she would usually go to the door and she would howl and bark underneath the door, which wasn't ideal when we lived in an apartment. And then about a month before we got Copper, her separation anxiety did start to improve. Copper came, and Copper loved his crate from the very start. He would go in there all the time with his toys. He would bring his bully sticks in there. He'd bring his treats in there. So he really was happy in the crate. And I think at the start, we actually had them in separate crates, especially at night. And they were fine in there. There wasn't really, Copper wouldn't cry. He seemed pretty happy. But then over time, Copper and Skye would keep ending up in the same crate together. So we decided to put them in the same crate. We had quite a big one, and that's where they would sleep, in the same crate together. And we also would leave them alone together in the same crate, hoping that that would provide them with some comfort. However, Copper's separation anxiety has always been pretty bad. Now, it's improved a little bit recently, but at the start, even though Skye was in the crate with him, he wasn't happy. He would cry, howl and bark, and it would take him a good half an hour really to settle down. And it would only last for about an hour or 2, and then he'd be howling and barking again. Now, through some crate training over here in London, we have been practicing a lot, putting them in the crate by themselves, and they have actually got a lot better. Well, Copper has got a lot better, because Skye was always pretty good since he arrived. So now he'll probably bark and howl for the first 10 minutes, and then about after the 2 or 3 hour mark, he will start to bark and cry and howl again. We haven't tried leaving them outside of the crate since we first did it with Skye. And especially now, because we're still living in an apartment situation, we don't want them underneath the door and howling and barking. And I think we did do a lot of research at the time when we first got Skye, and most people said to put them in the crate because it would make them feel more secure and would make them feel happier. And then also just to let them cry it out, and eventually they will get over it and they will stop crying or howling when you leave. So I was really interested to speak to Malena DeMartini about this, because I wanted to know, are we actually helping Skye and Copper by putting them in a crate, or should we be trying to leave them outside the crate? Would that make them happier? Before I go on any further, I want to make it clear that this was Malena's advice to me from our conversation. And we're not recommending or telling you this is how you should do it. We're just relaying to you what she told us, and hopefully it will give you some food for thought about what you want to do when you leave your dog alone, especially if they have been suffering from separation anxiety already, and you have been putting them in a crate. And lots of experts online do recommend crating your dogs when you leave them alone as well. So I think it's a situation where it can be up to the owner's discretion, or it can be up to the expert or the piece of advice that you prefer to listen to. But coming from my situation, we've always crated them. It hasn't really helped to completely resolve the separation anxiety. Definitely hasn't helped with Copper. And I wanted to speak to Malena because she has 20 years of experience with dogs with separation anxiety, and she's worked with hundreds and hundreds of dogs. So I thought, who better to speak to than someone in her position, someone with her experience. So here's something to remember before we go any further. Malena was really adamant that crates are not a bad thing. That's not the point she's trying to make. In fact, she said that crates do play an important role in owning a dog. For example, if you have to go to the vet with your dog or the emergency vet, there's a very strong likelihood that you may need to use a crate. Alternatively, if you're planning to take a road trip, then you may want to crate your dog in your car. There's one potential issue with crating your dogs, and Malena said that a lot of dogs do suffer from crate anxiety, or another way of describing it is confinement anxiety. Now, this is something that I had never heard of before, but it's basically when your dog is in a crate, it gets more nervous or anxious. So you already have a dog that has separation anxiety, it's exhibiting some of the symptoms of separation anxiety, and then I was shocked to think that that could be the case with Copper and Skye, and I'm actually making the situation even worse by putting them in a crate if they suffer with confinement anxiety. Now, like I said at the start of the video, and I'm going to fall into this category, she said there are a lot of people that say, but my dog loves its crate. And in our case, Copper is a prime example of that. He loves his crate during the day. Even when we're in the house, he will go into the crate. Like I said, he'll bring in his bully stick or he'll bring in a toy and he'll happily sit there and chew, obviously knowing that we're still in the house or the apartment and we haven't left him. And Malena said that while your dog may appear to like its crate when you're there, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to like it when you're gone away. So it is a good thing that your dog likes your crate for the reasons we discussed. It's good for when you have to crate your dog to go to the vet that he's going to be comfortable in there. But is it the best place for your dog when you leave the house? Maybe not necessarily. Now, one of the questions that immediately came to mind for me is, how long should I leave my dog if I'm trying to practice in, let's say, a room or in your house? Now, if we're going to practice this, which we are going to do in the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to leave our dogs in the bedroom because that's probably the room that they like most, and we just don't want to give them the run of the whole house quite yet until they get used to being at least one room by themselves alone. So I was wondering what was the right amount of time to practice separation anxiety training in there with them. Malena said that you should consider how long it takes for your dog to start showing the symptoms of separation anxiety. So for example, if your dog is fine for 20 minutes, but then at 30 minutes he starts to howl and bark and cry and exhibit some of the symptoms, then you'll want to train your dog with separation anxiety for about 20 minutes. You don't want them to go over that, what she called a separation anxiety threshold. You want to keep it under that. Of course, if your dog isn't suffering with separation anxiety in the bedroom or whatever room you decide to leave them in, then you won't see any of the separation anxiety behaviors. So you'll know that they're feeling comfortable, even though you're not there. I should also point out that we use a dog camera, so we are actually able to monitor Skye and Copper in their crate when we leave the house. So when we are going to practice some separation anxiety training in the bedroom, we'll be able to put the camera in there too and see what they're doing. And that's important because my other question from Malena with regard to the crates was, how do we know if my dog is better in the crate or in the bedroom? So obviously a dog camera helps because you can actually watch them. And she said the best way to work out whether your dog is more comfortable alone in a room or in the house by itself or in the crate is to leave them in there one day in the crate, for example, and do some separation anxiety training, leave the house for 10 or 20 minutes and see how they react while you're watching it on your dog camera. If you have the facility to record it, that's great. Or else you'll have to watch it, I guess, the live stream. And then the next day or a couple of days afterwards, then you try them in the bedroom and you watch their behaviors when they're in the bedroom. And then she called it the apples to apples test. So you basically just look at both videos and see, okay, the separation anxiety started within a minute of the crate, or it started within 5 minutes of being left alone in the bedroom. And in that way, you'll know whether your dog is actually better off in the bedroom rather than the crate. Now, we talked about some other stuff too, which you guys can check out at hellobark.com with regard to the crates. And there's also a lot more about separation anxiety and some other topics. Now, if you have any comments about this video or separation anxiety, feel free to leave a comment below. Alternatively, you can go up to our Instagram at iSpy with my little Skye and you can send us a DM, or else you can hit me up at kieran@hellobark.com. So that's where I'm gonna wrap up this separation anxiety video for today. But just one last thing before I go, I'm actually gonna put up a couple of clips in the end of this video of Skye and Copper in their crate, so you can just see the kind of behaviors that they show when they're in there by themselves. And then maybe when I do my next separation anxiety video from the chat that I had with Malena, I can put up a couple more. Or maybe if you guys think it would be useful, maybe I could actually do the apples for apples test and put it up on YouTube so you guys could actually see the difference between Skye and Copper in the crate and Skye and Copper in the bedroom by themselves. So let me know what you guys think of that idea, and yeah, maybe we can do something like that. Also, I should say, feel free to share things that have actually worked for you in the comment section below. Like I said, this is just my chat with Malena, and this is some of the advice that she gave me, but I would really love to hear things that have worked for you and any advice or help that you can give us, because we're open to trying anything, and we'd also like to share it with our followers if it may help someone else's dog overcome the issue of separation anxiety, because it really is a tough one to deal with for both dog and for owner. So if you enjoyed this video and you like our content, then please do hit subscribe. I think that's where I'm gonna sign off. I've got 2 dogs that are very restless right now, so it might be time to go for a walk or play with them for a bit. But thanks for watching, and we'll be back with another video soon.